Hello, and welcome to episode 85 of the Wee Podcast. It is Clark here with Phil.
Hello.
So this week, part 1, we are going to go through the moon landing, Apollo 11 mission. It's 50 years ago on the 20th of July, which is tomorrow, as of this release. Was basically when they actually touched down. They took off on the 16th.
Which is the day recording.
Yeah, so it all works out fairly close.
How weird is that?
So, yeah, and then part 2, we're going to look at what's trending. Couple of ones this week, both fairly big, and one of them certainly an excellent piece of news.
Yeah.
And then part 3, we are going to go on to episode 2 of Stranger Things season 3, and we'll give you our thoughts and feelings on that. So we hope you enjoy, folks.
Woo!
So that quote, obviously ridiculously famous, happened on July 20th, 1969, which is 50 years tomorrow by the time this is released. So we're a day early. But obviously we're going to celebrate in part 1 here, Apollo 11 moon landing.
Hoax.
Going to go through we're just going to run through something it's worldwide. Everyone knows this happened, or everyone knows about the moon landing, whether or not they believe it. Everybody knows, that line. And the other famous one, the eagle has landed, is the other one, I suppose. But do many people really know the run-up, what happened, exactly who was involved, all that sort of stuff? Everyone knows the big one, Neil Armstrong.
I think you were going to say what the reason was.
No.
Everyone doesn't remember what Collins was. It Michael Collins or something, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. He didn't get to land.
No, I know.
Poor wee man.
Everyone's like, oh, Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong. All right.
Yeah. But there's the actual crew. Let's get a wee list here. It was Neil Armstrong, who was a commander. Edward E. Aldrin Jr. or Buzz. Because it's obviously better than Edwin. Yeah. He was the lunar module pilot. And Michael Collins, as you say, the only man who didn't get down there, was the command module pilot. There was also a backup crew who obviously weren't needed. It was James A. Lovell, he was the commander. Fred W. Hayes Jr. was a backup lunar module pilot, and William A. Anders was the command module pilot as well. Now, obviously, the mission to get up there, Columbia was the rocket, and the Eagle, which was what had landed, was a lunar module. So basically, that's where all that comes from. Now, to give you sort of a bit of background, I suppose, for anyone that doesn't know, the objective was essentially a goal that was set by President Kennedy on the 25th of May 1961. He basically said that he challenged the US by the end of the decade to have a man on the moon. This was obviously 1961. It took just over 8 years, and they did it. So so basically other things that, essentially they were given as an objective were some scientific exploration close to the lunar module, so essentially to put out the television camera as well, because obviously everyone knows there is footage of this, again, whether you believe it or not, there is footage of people on the moon, and it allowed, obviously, putting out the camera and the signals that came backwards and forwards. They put out a solar wind composition experiment, a seismic experiment package, a laser ranging retroflector, which sounds amazing, but it's probably really boring. And then, basically that's all they had to do. Now, during the exploration as well, 2 astronauts, as you say, Collins didn't get down, were to gather samples of the lunar surface to come back, and they were also to take as many photographs as they possibly could. Now, the lunar module, the equipment, they had to take pictures of each other, both with still and motion cameras, which is where you get a picture of your man bouncing around and stuff. This was to be the last Apollo mission, to fly a free return trajectory, which would enable a return to Earth, basically with no engine, so they could abort it basically any time prior to it coming back. So yeah, essentially that was it. So those are the objectives. Some highlights of it. Apollo 11 launched from Cape Kennedy on July 16th, 1969, which is today. It was 50 years ago today as we're recording this. It had Commander Neil Armstrong on board with command module pilot Michael Collins and lunar module pilot Edwin Buzz Aldrin into an initial Earth orbit of 114 by 116 miles. Now, an estimated 650 million people watched him step off 4 days later in 1969. So 2 hours, 44 minutes and 1.5 revolutions after launch, it reignited for its second burn of 5 minutes and 48 seconds. It placed Apollo 11 into a translunar orbit. The command and service module, Columbia, separated from that stage, which included the spacecraft, lunar module adapter, and also had the lunar module, the Eagle, which is what went pushed forward.
Yeah.
And after jettisoning a lot of other things, basically, it essentially separated again, and it ejected into what's called a heliocentric orbit 4 hours and 40 minutes into the flight. The first colour TV transmission to Earth from Apollo 11 occurred on July 17th, so a day after they took off. It was a 3-second burn. Basically, they changed some courses and stuff, and they were able to sort of send stuff back. And they only needed to do it once. They had 4 planned, but the launch was so successful they only had to do it one time, which was probably quite lucky. On July 18th, so 2 days after launch, Armstrong and Aldrin put on their spacesuits and climbed through the docking tunnel. That's from Columbia, the actual thing, to the Eagle to check out to make sure everything was fine. And again, they did another transmission there, so it was their second one 2 days in. On July 19th, Apollo 11 had flown behind the moon out of contact with Earth. That's class.
Yeah.
It's not so cool. It came the first lunar orbit insertion maneuver at about 75 hours and 50 minutes into the flight, so what, just over 3 days. A retrograde firing for 357.5 seconds placed the spacecraft into an initial elliptical lunar orbit of 69 by 190 miles. Later, then there was a second burn for 17 seconds that placed the docked vehicles into a lunar orbit, which was calculated basically and piloted by Collins. This man obviously did a lot.
Yeah.
But obviously we don't really hear much about him. So the change happened because of lunar gravity basically changing. It needed to be 69 miles. They had, it was 69, so they needed to change theirs to 62 by 70 apparently. I'm not a rocket scientist, so it doesn't really make much sense to me, but that's what they did. So before the second firing, another TV transmission was made, this time from the surface of the moon. Now, Armstrong and Aldrin entered the module after stepping off. They came back.
Yeah.
They had a final check at 100 hours and 12 minutes in, and then at that point, as I say, they went back into the Columbia, came back into the lunar module thing, it was then fired down to the moon after, so that was 100 hours 12 minutes. It took then to 101 hours and 36 minutes. It was lunar module was behind the moon. Then the descent engine fired for 30 seconds as it went down, changing the orbit obviously on the way down. 102 hours and 33 minutes after they had reappeared from behind the moon.
Yeah. And
the lunar module was about 300 miles up from the moon, so not too far.
Yeah.
Then it was basically fired down again. It fired for quite a long time, 756.3 seconds. That's what, nearly 11 minutes.
Good grief.
After 8 minutes, the lunar module was a high gate, about 26,000 feet above the surface, about 5 miles from the landing site.
Yeah.
So it continued to sort of start to use its descent engine, it's called, to provide brake and thrust, until about 102 hours and 45 minutes into the mission. They then realised that they were not going to hit where they thought they were going to hit, and they were starting to run out of fuel.
The trajectory was wrong.
It was wrong, and they thought that they were going to run out of fuel. So Armstrong took control manually inside the lunar module, piloted it himself. It eventually landed, obviously, as we know. And at that stage, now I cannot find on the NASA thing at all anywhere exactly how much fuel they have left, but as far as I'm aware, it was something like between 0 and 10 seconds.
Jeez.
He essentially had to make it. They were going to land like a crater or something, but they obviously don't want to admit that here.
Yeah.
But he was essentially, they were going to crash, so he needed to do it himself.
That's unbelievable.
So it landed in the Sea of Tranquility in Site 2 at 0 degrees, 41 minutes and 15 seconds. Let's see, so this was about 4 miles down from the predicted touchdown point, and occurred 1.5 minutes earlier than scheduled. It included a powered descent that ran a mere nominal 40 seconds longer than expected as well. Let's just see. So the flight plan called for the first EVA to begin after a 4-hour rest period, so they just pure chilled out for 4 hours essentially. You imagine getting to the moon and being like, right, don't move for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Oh,
you'd be livid.
That's essentially being told, right, okay, we're gonna go to Disneyland, but you're not allowed to move for 4 hours.
Pretty much, yeah.
So they weren't allowed to go anywhere.
It's like going to the Star Wars rides and being told you're not allowed to ride them.
It'd be awful. For 4 hours, you have to wait.
Yeah.
Just look.
How'd you enjoy that? Good,
just look. So 4 hours later, that is when he deployed the TV camera. At about 109 hours and 42 minutes after their launch, Armstrong stepped onto the moon, and that's when he said what we played at the start there. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
One stock.
The camera was then positioned on a tripod. It's about 30 feet away from the landing module. And half an hour later, Nixon then spoke by telephone link with both astronauts on the moon, as you would. And commemorative medallions bearing the names of the 3 Apollo 1 astronauts who had lost their lives in the launch pad fire and 2 cosmonauts who had also died were left on the moon's surface as well. Apollo 1, I did a bit of reading actually earlier on that, and it was essentially, obviously it was the first try. As it tried to take off, there was so many things wrong with it. First big issue, their suits weren't fire retardant.
That's good.
The second one was that they had a door that opened basically in the way, and whenever this fire happened, it pushed all the air up, created a vacuum, and they couldn't open the door, and that was it. They all died from asphyxiation. It wasn't even
fire.
Yeah.
That's awful.
Well, essentially, as I say, they all died. And that was left for them. 1.5 inch silicon disc containing micro miniaturized goodwill messages from 73 countries, and the names of congressional and NASA leaders also stayed behind whenever they left. Now, during the EVA, they both ranged up to 300 feet away from Eagle. Aldrin deployed some of the experiments, all the rest, and Armstrong and Aldrin gathered and verbally reported on surface samples. He also said that like the lunar muck looked like, or dust, whatever you want to call it, looked like charcoal.
Yeah,
that's the way he described it. They were out for over 2.5 hours. They then spent 21 hours and 36 minutes on the moon surface in total, and after a rest period that included 7.5 hours of sleep, they then started to fire up again. So they were on the mission. The EVA ended 111 hours and 39 minutes into the mission, and then 124 hours and 22 minutes in, that went off. It was then shut down 6-7 minutes later, 435 seconds. And as I say, then it met Columbia again, and 125 hours and 19 minutes in since launch, everything sort of kicked in, and that was it. They ended up clicking together at 128 hours and 3 minutes in. So then, as I say, they ended up firing their way back. So re-entry procedures were initiated on July 24th. So what's that, next Wednesday?
Yes.
So 50 years ago, next Wednesday, 44 hours after leaving the moon, they essentially started to re-enter orbit. Their heat shield came up. Parachute deployment occurred at 195 hours and 13 minutes after launch. So after a flight of 195 hours, 18 minutes and 35 seconds, about 36 minutes longer than planned, Apollo 11 splashed down in the Pacific Ocean, 13 miles away from the nearest ship, which is who was going to pick them up. Because of bad weather, the landing point was changed by about 250 miles as well, which is cool. So on July 24th, 1969, they landed again. So yeah, that was fairly comprehensive but fairly short rundown of what happened whenever they went to the moon.
You believe it?
Well, I've no reason not to believe it. I don't see why it's not possible. They're firing rockets all over the show now.
Mm-hmm.
So I have no issue with them having done it. I believe they were there.
Long ago, really, when you think
50
about
years. It's a long time. Like,
it's not really that long. I mean, if you think in 50 years what they've managed to do with technology is incredible.
well, since then, yeah, certainly. Like, even as I say, you look at rockets now, you don't need anyone in them. You know, you can, Elon Musk is landing parts of a rocket again for reuse.
Yeah.
Which was ridiculous.
He's mental, him.
He's so clever, or whoever's working for him is.
Yeah.
But like, the ideas he has that are obviously working. Again, maybe might not be his, but they're now working in conjunction with NASA, so he must be doing something right. But altogether, do I think it happened? Yeah, I don't see any reason to lie. Like, don't get me wrong, I understand they were coming second to Russia in literally everything.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, Russia did get to the moon first, but not manned. So they were first of all, they went up and they orbited it and came back, and then the US went up and did the same thing, but again, not manned. Second time not the second time, but the next thing they did was get something like basically a lander up there, took as many pictures as it could before it crashed, and then again after that the Americans did it, and then it was go up, take pictures, come back. Americans did that, and then that's when Kennedy was sort of like, right, we can do this for the end of the decade, which obviously they then did, and not long after that the Russians basically went bankrupt. They ran out of money. So,
oh well.
But either way, if it was a fake and it was the bankrupt Russians, it worked. But I think it happened.
If it was, then it's a very, very good hoax all the same. But I mean,
do you think it happened?
Yeah.
I mean, if you go up and there's a flag there and there's all that stuff, how's that fake then?
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't really make much sense. Like, could you imagine it was just like, it was all just studio based, and I was like, well, I mean, see if it was like,
oh, you got us.
Yeah. And
50 years.
It was like Neil Armstrong was just like, haha.
Is he not dead?
Yeah, well, that's obviously, yeah, but I mean,
that is grave if you just like rub out a bit of it. It was like, it was all fake.
That'd be awful, like, wouldn't it? Because you feel, I don't know what way you would feel after that. Because if you put so much belief into something that you thought and truly believed was real,
there's no way that they haven't done it. Like, a lot of people are like, well, why haven't we been back? Because there's no reason to go back. We've done pretty much everything you can do. But although obviously they are going back to do it now, but I think it's for a different reason.
I would assume it would be. I wouldn't imagine to go back. We'll collect more dust.
They might, but they might just have more like stuff they can look at. But at the same time, I mean like analyze. But at the same time, there is talk of putting like colonies up there, isn't there? So
strange, like having those big dome colonies that you see in the Martian and stuff. But
Futurama.
Futurama. But obviously we've checked out conspiracy theories and stuff before.
Yeah.
But since this was just the 50-year anniversary, we just thought we'd look at some reasons. Some reasons why people think it's not real. First reason being there aren't any stars in the background. Woo! Okay. That's a reason apparently.
I wonder if that's anything to do with the quality of the footage.
Potentially. I mean, I can imagine the camera really might not be able to pick up that far in.
Apparently it was a very good footage, or was supposed to be. Did I mention this already?
Yeah.
Did I? It was supposed to be really clear, but as I say, they basically whoever was setting up the camera, I can't remember his name, but whoever was actually setting up the footage, he was raging with the quality of what came back, because he actually wanted it to be crystal clear, and it was crystal clear on testing, but then once it reached the moon, he forgot about the compression, and it didn't come out right. The moon.
I also think that they didn't, like, it's very hard to just assume normal cameras are going to work.
Yeah, well,
with the
that's the other thing, you can't really test it, can you?
That's what I'm saying, but obviously, like, you can say, well, the sun's going to be this bright on this day, and obviously the moon's going to be reflective anyway, so trying to get something on a camera, you could, like, see when if you're taking a photo indoors, and it says, like, dark in the background, you can't see everything in the background, you can only see the forefront.
Or sometimes if you take a picture of like, out a window during the bright day, and you want something beside it, it's just white.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's picked up like it's too much.
So I imagine the reason why there aren't any stars there, because the sun is too bright, and
possibly
you can't really, because once it reflects off something, the camera sort of angles itself to see what it wants to see.
Yeah.
So you can see the darkness in the background because it's black. but the stars aren't going to be there because you've already got so much light at the forefront of the camera. So, the C rock.
Sorry?
The C rock.
What's that?
It's just a rock that has a letter C written on it or stamped on it. Apparently, one of the most famous photos shows a stray moon rock that appears to have the letter C written or stamped on it. This gives off the impression that most of the larger moon rocks seen in the pictures from the moon landing are simply props. A set designer could have labelled this stray moon rock with a letter and accidentally left it turned over for the camera to see.
I highly doubt that.
Probably. Scientists and representatives from NASA claim the C, in quotations, is just a photographic glitch, a stray hair that found its way into the development process, or a hoax in itself.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, so. I mean,
or it could just be a scratch. Or like on the thing.
Yeah.
Say that's not possible.
Another reason is because of different shadow lengths. Well, again, I would assume due to the sun being there.
What does it mean by that?
Well, just there's a photo of the the lander sitting there, and the shadow's like half the size of the lander, whereas usually it's like it shows.
I don't know the sun is.
I don't know what astronaut's sitting there. I have no idea who it is, but you can just see his shadow going like north, and that shadow's going like northwest.
That doesn't look like the footage.
Yeah, well, it is the footage, unfortunately, but
it doesn't look as clear. Like the pictures that are on from the set, 1969 is quite blurry.
Yeah, I mean that is quite blurry, but it's because it's been
touched up.
Yeah, it's been pixelated, so you can just about see everything. But it's from NASA, like, but it's just they're saying that the shadow lengths were inconsistent because the lander was shorter in shadow length compared to the astronaut, where his was like huge. The lander was quite short.
Yeah, okay.
But I mean, at the same time, like no one really like. What are you? It's like he's astrologers. You're gonna go. I mean, I know exactly what way this shadow should be considering.
Well, that's the thing. You don't know where the sun is.
Exactly. So I mean, that could have been a light from anything behind him.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter. But I just think people are just quick to judge, aren't they? Really, that's the problem. And of course, the fourth one, big one. I'm sure you can probably guess what this one is.
Something to do with the flag.
Yeah. So the American flags appear to flap in the breeze.
Right. Well, what happens if you just put it up and it was just wobbly already?
But it doesn't matter. Like it's obviously him putting it in, doing that.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm like doing like a motorbike rev.
Yeah.
Just sideways. Yeah. So that's basically all he was doing.
You're right enough. He is gonna have to have went thump and stuck it in.
You can't just go. There you go, sorted.
Yeah, it's gonna have to have went in deep to keep it standing. But then
who's to say it's even there anymore?
It has to be.
But it might not be.
Unless something's knocked it over.
Yeah, I mean the moon could just be slapped by everything.
Yeah, it probably is. It is a shield for a lot of things apparently. That's why it's got craters over it.
Might not be there. Obviously gravitational pull, it'll just float off.
There is no gravity. Oh, it wouldn't float.
Oh, it would just disappear. Would it not? Surely.
It would probably just go close. It depends what direction it goes, but yeah, it would eventually disappear. But
can't imagine something hitting it like dead on. But then again, you don't know how many shrapnel like of satellites.
Like 50
and stuff.
years.
Yeah,
you never know.
So there'd be an awful lot of things I dare say that would be on the moon. But then people were also saying there's nothing on the moon. Like there's no like debris of anything. Like anything's hit the moon, it hasn't stayed there and stuff. Like, but I mean, who's to say that?
That can't be true.
Exactly.
Because they've literally confirmed crashed modules and not satellites, but like little lunar things. Like, of the
little lunar things.
Of I can't the wee sort of like of I think there's 5 sent. One of them crashed, and then one that landed, it got there, and its camera didn't work.
Yeah, that's right.
So like, it has to be there. Like, there's just no way that it's all.
Unless it turned itself on, decided to drive itself around the moon.
It's just still going, just going around.
Number 5, a slow motion film in wires.
What?
Yeah, slow motion. People that said that the film footage was slowed down, so it looked as if he was floating.
Okay, well, I understand that's possible.
Yeah, I think I can understand all these can be possible, but it's just whether or not you want to believe them or not.
Yeah, well, that is probably it. But at the same time, the fact that well, you know what? I suppose that is what it comes down to. I was about to say the fact that so many people say that it did happen. Of course, they want it to have happened.
Yeah.
But the Russians don't refute it.
Yeah. I know. It just says in this that they obviously were carried with ropes and stuff because they had to have to pull themselves somewhere. They can't just walk in and then randomly be like, oh, hey, look at me. But people just said that, oh, well, we could have slowed down the footage and the wires were there to give an effect that they were on something. You know what I mean? It's just like I said, it doesn't really matter. All of these can be
they are what
true.
You want to see. It is what you want to see, really.
So, but I mean that's the last one. But I mean there's so many more out there that people have theories. So we'll just make them all up. But I mean, I don't see the point in even.
But what does it matter? Yeah. Even if it was fake, right? Even I don't believe it was, but if it was, why would it matter?
Especially now, though. 50 years on, like what's gonna happen?
Maybe it gave people hope in the 60s, going into the 70s.
Probably.
Maybe it pushed on technology to what we have now because people believed that we had been on the moon. Either way, a rocket left, went to space, and men came back. Mm-hmm. That happened. Yeah. There's no ways about that.
I mean, there are reasons to fake it, I suppose, because, like you said, to give people hope and to give sort of inspiration to the
so it was during the Cold War and stuff,
like, so it wasn't a really good time.
But at the end of the day, like, again, it just comes down to a rocket left and something came back 8 days later.
Yeah.
So, how's that fake?
People are just going to say the same thing. They're just going to say, well, look at the way Back to the Future was filmed, the train scene.
What do you mean?
It was all toys.
No, but it happened. Like,
I know.
The rocket took off.
I know, but the thing is, like, they don't understand that. Like, is this the problem? They're like, prove it. Well, there's video.
It literally happened.
Yeah, and then they're like, well, look, that's I remember watching this video yonks ago. This guy was like, well, look at all the old films. You know, they had like toys of like cars going around corners and stuff. And
Star Wars
they filmed that. Yeah.
Models. And,
Like, well, clearly they could have done that as well. I was like, well, I'm sure they could have, but
they could have, but you can't see people in them.
Yeah.
You know, like there's nobody in. Then again, I suppose you can't see anybody in that rocket. But at the end of the day, that rocket would have taken off.
Yeah.
In America, you would have seen it take off.
Yeah.
Hundreds of probably thousands of people, maybe hundreds, probably thousands, not hundreds of thousands. Thousands of people in America have probably watched that happen.
Mm-hmm. In this, like in real life,
in real time, from distance.
Yeah,
I've watched that happen. So how is that faked?
I just like to know. I'm surprised no one's given the detailed experience, like of whenever they looked up into the sky and seen a rocket or something flying in the air.
Behind you, like there's just no way that you could fake a rocket taking off. There's no way that you could fake a Soyuz or whatever it was, a re-entry capsule. It's not a Soyuz at that time, but that re-entering the atmosphere, like how could you fake that?
Yeah.
What something would already have to be up there for it to come back.
Yeah, it's true. Like,
you know, so to me, the fact they left, even if they didn't go on the moon, which I again believe they did, why wouldn't they? You know, there is footage of them on the way up, you know, all the way through, as I mentioned. Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand the benefit.
If it is fake, then whoever created it is a genius.
Well, whoever invented it deserves an Oscar because it's so good. Like I struggle to see how it's not real, and the fact that it was 50 years ago and we basically haven't been back is crazy.
Yeah,
that's one thing. Obviously, NASA ran into a lot of money trouble. It's still the budget's quite short compared to what it was, etc. Obviously, there's issues there, but at the same time,
Trump's creating a national space force thing. So I mean,
do it then. You know, give him money. Prove it.
It's not like he hasn't got any money.
You know, there were ideas before to put like lasers in space.
Laser.
What was that called? Do you remember? No. It was
to sort of
I think it was a Reagan idea. I could be wrong, but I think it was a Reagan idea. But basically, it was like lasers in space that would shoot down
satellites and stuff.
Like missiles,
like debris.
Missiles on the way across. Yeah. So like if Russia were to shoot one, they would just shoot it out of the air with their little satellites.
I mean, whoever does that first basically controls the entire world, if you ask me, unless someone has the technology to go and then just shut them down.
Probably do.
Yeah, probably.
You know,
I mean, it causes more problems than enough. Really, you shouldn't really need all this stuff. Like, but at the same time, it would be nice to have some sort of
alien
space. Yeah, well, not alien, but this whole Area 51 thing going on at the minute, it's a bit of a nightmare. So you don't really know what's going to happen after that. I just think I was going to die if it ever happened, but I can't imagine it ever come to fruition at all.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's weird that people would. Obviously, you can have your own opinion on things, like, but I just don't see the reason why you would be like, that's wrong. Like, why tear things down?
People love ruining things that are good, and like.
I just didn't know the first person was like, that's fake.
That looks dodgy. There's probably some.
Where was your qualification to analyse that footage and be like, that's completely fake? I'm sorry. Please tell me.
I bet you there is someone.
But I mean, the first person to be like, that's wrong. Yeah, like, probably. What qualifications did they have at the time?
Watching it on TV, fake.
Yeah, exactly. They're probably like eating this and going, ha! Joke.
Yeah.
Just cutting his chicken.
Is this? Is Star Wars? Yeah. Like, it wasn't even out then. It's not even a bit old.
No, it's true, yeah.
But, but even at that, like, if you think everything that came after it, as we just mentioned, it really opened space up. We now obviously have the space station.
Or do we?
On the way.
Or do we?
Yeah, good point. That's what we'll fake too. We've got modules on the way out to Mars.
What if we are just in the Truman? Oh, you haven't seen it, doesn't matter.
I have not. You mention it a lot, but I haven't seen it yet.
Could just be in the Truman Show.
Okay.
The sky could just be a
dome.
Yeah, it's a very, very tall dome.
Yeah, very tall dome.
A dome nonetheless. Yeah.
But I'm all for the moon landing. Like, it's awesome. It was 50 years ago. And it's one of those things. It's iconic. It always will be, and everyone will know the line. Either the eagle has landed, or one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Yeah, that's all you hear.
So
Whenever he says mankind,
I mean, that is literally a recording. Obviously, we played at the start, so you can sort of hear what the footage was like. But essentially, that was our take on the moon landing. 50th anniversary. It's a real milestone. So
congrats.
10 out of 10 would land again. So we'll call that part 1, folks, and we'll catch you again in part 2. Welcome back to part 2. So thanks. For anyone interested, Google Area 51 events. Google Area 51 events. There's one called Storm Area 51, they can't stop all of us. So currently there are 2.5 million people going or interested. I'll give you a brief breakdown of that. Now, so 1.4 million have said they're going to go, and 1.1 million are interested.
When is it happening? 27th of September, is it?
Friday the 20th of September.
20th of September.
At 3 a.m.
Okay. 3 a.m.
to 6 a.m. So here's the plan for anyone who wants to go. We are all going to meet up at the Area 51 Alien Center tourist attraction and coordinate our entry. If we Naruto run, we can move faster than their bullets. Let's see them aliens. Now, anyone that doesn't know what a Naruto run is, it's essentially you run with your arms slightly behind you.
And elevated in the air.
Yeah, like sort of like right angle to your body, slightly.
Yeah, well, more like an acute.
Yeah, so like sort of like if you're a bird.
Yeah.
But you didn't have a back.
Yeah.
It was like you were broken. Yeah. So that's essentially what you're on. So you look it up. You don't know what it is. It's too late. I can't be bothered explaining it. So
you just did.
Basically, that is what is happening. As I say, there's a lot of people say they're going to do it, and apparently it has been literally talked about.
Worldwide and
within the army and that sort of stuff. They have said they will be ready.
Yeah.
If people come. Mm-hmm. Now, part of that for me, I'm going to sneeze.
Go ahead, you do it.
I'm going to go again.
Different language.
Bless me. Excuse me. So basically, they said that it was 2 big jumps. They've literally said that if people do show up, they will be ready. And because of the security clearance in there, I wouldn't be surprised if ready meant we're going to do them all in.
Yeah.
I would imagine in there, that's where the likes of like those mad looking spy planes and stuff were invented. Mm-hmm. I would imagine they have pretty special drones. For anyone that doesn't know, I was telling the guys earlier, even the cleaners in there, they have the highest security clearance available in America. And that includes the fact that they can't just drive into work. There are planes called, it's like an airline called Janet, mm-hmm. J-N-E-T. It's got a red line up the side of the plane. And that's how you know what it is. And essentially, most of them will live in or around Las Vegas. So they will have to go through security at McCarran Airport every day to go to work. they get taken out on the plane and then back again.
I just love to know what the job application said for that one. Like, experience, none.
Experience, watch DT.
Do you like flying? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like cleaning?
Like, I've listened to some stuff on Area 51 and it's basically, like, from what I understand, it's essentially a military base. It's where a lot of like really top secret like planes, weapons, all that sort of stuff. Obviously you have the conspiracy theories with aliens and all that.
That's why I don't
stuff,
get.
so.
Like, everyone is complaining. They're like, oh, go to Area 51, you're gonna find aliens. Well,
you'll probably just find a really cool airplane.
Yeah, but that's
There's
the thing.
no
like,
way they'll get in. If a
everyone's
million
talking
people
about
show up, I have a funny feeling that, now this could be completely wrong, but I would genuinely think if a million people showed up, a million people would get killed. If they ran and continued to go and continued to go, like if they genuinely were serious and they did try and break in, I do think the US Army would be under orders to protect that base at all costs.
Probably, because you never know who's going to be in those like million people.
You don't.
It could be anybody. It could be spies or anything.
Exactly.
But I mean, you would think at this time, well, I suppose no one could really infiltrate to go through the security every day. Like, but even still, I just don't see the reason why you would go there. If you're going to go there to find aliens, then you're going to be.
It would be amazing to go. If you could go and just be like, look, I promise I won't tell anyone. Just make me sign some NDAs, some waivers, whatever, and then I can go ahead and have a look around. That would be class. But like, apparently, even within Area 51, you will have clearance for certain things. Like, you'll be on your project, and then outside of that,
you're not allowed
if there's a test flight and you don't know about that, everyone's inside until it's back.
Yeah.
You don't and it's you won't hear it. You won't see it. You won't know what you're inside for.
Yeah.
You're told to come inside, and that is it. You're inside until it's done. Like, there's apparently it's so secret that if you don't know, you will never know, and that's just it.
I don't think I'd ever like that sort of job because I would be paranoid constantly.
I imagine you would be. Yeah, I mean, there have been some people that have come out and sort of said a bits and pieces about it. Like, there's what's his name? He's got a program on Netflix at the minute.
Those people do.
I know. Oh my god, I can't remember the guy's name. Hang on, I'm gonna have to Google it because.
What happens whenever people leave? Whenever they leave, like that job.
I would assume every phone call they ever make. But then this guy did leave, but he's been discredited.
Oh.
Like, they basically said that's not true. But then he was able to take people out and be like, okay, at this time, you're going to see lights above Area 51, like, now. And then it'll just happen. Like, he's able to, like, tell them, like, in and out. I don't know.
Sure, you're probably like, we need to get rid of this boy, like, soon. He's going to start spoiling stuff. But then even still, he might not know an awful lot about it either. He might know, like, the base sort of things. There might be more things in the area itself that go way, way above his pay grade. You never know.
Well, now, as I said, this is completely off the whole idea of what I was just talking about, but a man was shot dead at Area 51 in January after he attempted to enter the top secret military base, something which should come as a huge warning as hundreds prepare to storm the base. He was killed. Let me just see if I can find this guy's name because
I don't think people would be stupid. I think it's like that thing. Do you remember whenever people were gathering for that big, like, was it a mosh pit or something, or was it like a? Do you remember like the Facebooks had like a gathering for loads of things, but there was that one for like a mosh pit or something, or there was something outside the Pentagon or something out there. I don't know what it was, but there's people like, yeah, I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
Like people from like Tokyo.
Yeah.
Like, you're not gonna go to America to just stand outside the Pentagon.
That's not gonna happen. Like,
if it is at 1.4 million people going to go, it's highly likely it'll be all Americans.
So, a spokeswoman for the Air Force has told the Washington Post it is ready to protect America and its assets.
That's what it is.
If people come. Now, the guy who made it wrote on the event page, "Hello, US government. This is a joke, and I do not actually intend to go ahead with this plan. I just thought it would be funny and get me some thummy uppies on the internet. I'm not responsible if people actually decide to storm Area 51.
Well,
The Air Force have then said, Area 51 is an open training range for the US Air Force and we would discourage anyone from trying to come into the area where we train American armed forces. So what I'm getting from that is they're willing to kill people.
Yeah, pretty much. What happens if you Google it?
What?
Google Map Area 51. Is it blanked off the map?
No, you can still see it.
Really?
Yeah.
Must be that top secret then.
But you can't, like, I would assume a lot of it's underground, and whenever they take the pictures, they're not allowed to...
Unreal.
No results fine?
No results fine. Try search for something else or in a different area.
Really?
Something missing, out of place, and what it has given me is a UFO taking away the location marker.
Oh. Are you serious?
Yeah, I just typed in Area 51.
So if I type that in Google Maps?
I assume that's the same thing will happen. Area 51 play center and stuff, but if I type it in, it will not actually show me it on the map.
Really?
Yeah. So, but if I was to go...
No results.
Weird.
Hold on, let me just type in Area 51 too.
What, onto Google?
No results.
Yeah.
Google Maps doesn't show up.
There you go.
Why?
Well, I assume because it's top secret.
Yeah, but you used to be able to see it.
I don't think I've ever been able to see it. I mean, if you Google Nevada and then... Oh no! Google Nevada and then find out where it is in comparison to where it is.
That's mad.
I did say.
Oh, there.
Do you get it?
Yeah.
So you can see it then?
Yeah, look.
It's weird.
You can see it because I've definitely seen it before.
Well, now we're going to get shot because I've Googled.
Yeah, they're going to think we're going to come and run at it.
Probably shouldn't have done that. Oh well.
But either way, I mean, that whole Area 51, that would be awesome to do a thoughts on at some stage. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to that.
Yeah.
But basically, I'll move on to my next wee part, which is about Thor, spelled Thor, 4, number,
4.
Four. So, how did you say his name? Taika Waititi?
That's definitely not right.
Taika Waititi?
That's the one.
Is it? Taika
Waititi.
Taika Waititi.
Yeah.
So he obviously he did Ragnarok, which was Thor 3.
4, 3, 2, 1.
So he's now coming back to do 4, which is awesome. He's going to write it and direct it. And Chris Hemsworth, now this is a quote that worries me slightly, is expected to return.
Oh no. Oh no. He will. He'll have to. He'll just love that role.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, if he's not in it,
yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris Hemsworth is just the man. Like, he is Thor, and there's no two ways about that.
There wouldn't make any sense for him not to be in it.
Well, yeah, I know he is Thor.
Unless it's
he
like
is also the first Avenger to go past 3 movies.
Unless it's like Thor, you know, whenever they have the women Thor come in and the other Thors and stuff in the universe.
Depends when that is. If that happens.
This could be a completely different thing. I don't really know what this one's going to be about.
I would be totally fine with it being an Asgardians of the Galaxy. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Did you hear your man? What do you call him? Who did Guardians? James Gunn.
Yes.
Was like, don't worry, Guardians 3 is not going to be called Asgardians of the Galaxy. I was like, alright then.
It's. I reckon it'll be about trying to find Gamora, and also Adam Warlock will come into it again.
Probably.
But yeah, he's back doing Thor 4, and I'm totally cool with that because it was great. It was great. And Thor 3 was easily the best Thor.
I agree.
Up there with the best Marvel films. So I'm fine with that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
As long as he gets another acting role in it.
Yes.
As Korg.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah,
He's so funny.
Hey Thor.
I just love it. He's so funny.
What was it he says in the... what's the gamer guy that shouts at him on the game?
I can't remember.
Fortnite, isn't it?
Something kid, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. 69 or something, wasn't it?
I can't remember. My favorite lines of his are all in Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Like,
he's dead.
He's like,
Dag's dead.
What's the bit where he says about? Oh my goodness! Well, anytime he says, "Want to come?" That's hilarious.
There's a guy on a ship. Want to come?
But then there's also the bit where he literally meets him for the first time, and he's like, "I'm made of rocks. Don't let that scare you. Unless you're made of scissors."
That's right. A little quick joke there for you.
Yeah. So funny.
Paper rock scissors joke.
He's great. Like he's funny.
Unbelievable. But I think his personality definitely suited that role. Like,
that's Doug up there.
Yeah.
Hey Doug. Doug's dead.
Yeah.
So good. Bye, you Doug.
What do you call? What's the Meek? Is it you
Meek?
call him?
Yeah,
Meek.
Meek.
I stepped on him on the bridge.
I feel
I've
good.
been carrying him around ever since.
He wakes up.
He's alive. Nick's alive.
So yeah, if he becomes him, I am totally fine with that because it's great.
Yeah,
it's great. And yeah, just in general, that's great news. And
yeah, both. Well, apart from the 5th one. But
yeah, people don't do that.
Yeah,
it's really not worth it.
No,
because they will kill you.
Yeah.
Anyway, we will leave that there for part 2, folks, and we'll catch you again in part 3. Welcome back to part 3. So we've been doing this little run through of Stranger Things after we went through Black Mirror. So we both watched episode 2. I swear we will start to get through them faster at some point, but just recently it hasn't been possible.
Yeah.
So we both watched episode 2 anyway. So you take it away. What did you? What happened first? So spoilers from here on.
Yes.
Spoiler.
So Dustin finds Steve at the old ice cream place.
Yes.
And he's like, "Oh, I've got this." You tried to like subtly tell him.
Yeah,
and Steve was like,
loud.
"What?"
Yeah.
And then Dustin's like, "I found a Russian." Blah blah blah.
That's right. I remember that.
Yeah, and then basically they just have to try and I think when Robin comes out, doesn't she? She's all like, "What's going on?"
I'm a musician. I have a good ear.
Yeah.
I remember this actually.
Yeah.
Yes. And she eventually helps him crack the
Russian code to a certain point.
Is it not perfect?
I don't think it's perfect. No, I think they have a few ins and outs, but then I think it's the bit whenever he puts the coin in the little unicorn.
Yes.
The little rag, the music in the background.
But they work out the words.
Yeah, they work out the words, but I don't know if it's like. I don't know if they
haven't got the whole thing.
I think Robin believes it's that's exact, but I don't think Steve and Dustin do. And then they were like, "This was filmed here."
I thought it was Steve. I don't remember this. This is what I mean. I'm terrible for this. But I thought it was Steve was like, "Oh, this is stupid," and she was like, "I don't know. I think you're onto something." Did she not say that?
Possibly, yeah.
She was like, "I actually do believe you now."
Yeah.
At the start, she was like, "Oh, wise up."
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
And they were walking past, and then Steve stops and he's like, "I've got a quarter or whatever," and he puts it in.
The wee horse.
The music starts playing.
What's the music?
What do you mean? What's the music?
Is it the Daisy song?
I think so. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I think it was the Daisy Bell you were saying that was the weird sort of song. But yeah, so they had that whole thing going on, and then Hopper had a bit of a problem with Mike and 11.
Yes.
And that whole relationship thing, and they were like kissing all the time. He was like, "I can't get rid of blah, blah," and he goes over to what do you call her? Joyce. Yeah, goes over to Joyce and says, "I'm having a bit of a problem here with Mike and 11, and they won't."
That was
stop
episode
kissing.
1, right?
No, it's episode 1, and then he has the top.
And he shouts at him in episode 1, and then he's scared. This one's where Mike answers the phone, and
it's just not.
Right, he ignores it, and then his mom's like, "Mike."
Yeah, and then she's like, "Oh,
she's on the phone."
Why are
he's
you
like,
on the
"My
phone?"
grandma's sick. I have to go and say, "Grandma's sick."
Yeah. So, "No, Mom, get off the phone."
Yeah.
And then he goes to the mall to get 11 a gift
because Lucas tells him that he's been broken up with loads of times, and that's the only way.
Yeah.
And where poor Will's like, "I just want to play Dungeons and Dragons."
Yeah, he's still in the basement going, "What's going on?
Yeah,
Play Dungeons and Dragons." Yeah. So they'll go to the mall, and Mike's trying to get a gift for 11, and 11 goes to the mall as well with Max.
Yeah.
They try on all the clothes, and then at the end they come out of the mall, and Mike's they're all getting their bikes ready to cycle back home, and 11's like, "Oh, what are you doing here, Mike?" And then she breaks up with Mike because...
And Mike is also like, "You're not supposed to be here. You're not allowed to be out with all these people."
Yeah. And then she breaks up with Mike because he lied to her, basically. Yeah. Another thing was the rats we've seen in the last episode.
Yes.
Nancy and...
Jonathan,
that's the name. Yeah, that's the man. They both go to this woman called Mrs. Driscoll, and she has a rat captured in a cage.
Yes,
and
all weird.
It's banging its head off the cage left, right, and centre. And Jonathan goes in to take a picture of it, and he gets called up by Nancy.
As it's like lying on the ground, twitching and stuff.
I don't think it happens though. I think it starts to squeal a little bit, and he's like, "What's going on here?" And then she calls him up, and then he goes up the stairs, and it falls over,
and then explodes.
It bubbles and explodes, and then the thing comes out of the cage.
It crawls its way out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all weird and stuff. Yeah, I don't really like that at all. And then obviously in the last episode, Billy was taken and probed. So
yes. in the mouth.
Yeah. Now he is sort of infected or whatever that word. I don't know what you would say.
Go with infected.
So he's infected, but
he's a host.
Yeah, he's a host of this monster, and
he can't take the light. He's sort of he looks like he's on drugs.
He looks like completely out of his mind, and then he sees himself in the upside down. Like all the people come towards him, and he's like, "Here are all these people," and then he comes towards himself, and he's all like,
"What do you want?"
Yeah.
You. Yeah. Or whatever it is.
And then Mrs. Wheeler comes in and is like, "I want to explain why I didn't show up yesterday," and he's like,
he has like a vision of him like smashing her head.
Yeah.
But then it shows that's not real. Yeah. And then he's like, "Just get away from me, leave me alone."
Yeah.
Then he falls asleep. Remember, he burns his arm.
That's right.
He falls asleep on the lifeguard chair after swapping with the girl he always swaps with.
Yeah.
It's sort of exactly the same scene as the first series or the first episode where he's like, "Hey ladies, hey whatever her name is, hey no running, fat boy," you know, like all that.
Yeah.
Like, but in this one he just doesn't do anything. Like he's like, "Oh," like walking past, like all like
there,
zombied out.
But he also takes one of the.
It's the lifeguard.
Yeah.
After he runs into the
bathroom,
the shower to like under the water, like cool down or whatever he's trying to do. Yeah.
And then he takes her and it's like, wait for the monsters, basically.
Yes.
And that's sort of the episode in a nutshell.
I forgot about Hopper.
What about Hopper?
He went out on the date. He was expecting a date with Joyce.
That's right.
And she didn't show.
She was with Mr. Clark.
Yeah, he was
the magnets.
And trying to figure out the magnets because we spoke about that in the last episode.
Yeah, they kept falling off the fridge.
He basically said there was a chance that it was an
magnet
basically that's taken the thing away, but it would have to be humongous.
Which is just underground-ish. It's like the upside.
It's in Russia, isn't it?
Yeah, but is it not in like the upside down as well? They have it's like working in there or something, isn't it? Is it?
I don't know. I thought it was only in Russia they were working.
It could be.
But then again, it could be a massive explosion.
That's true. Well, they are drilling into the wall of the upside down, like, so it does make sense. Yeah. So that's basically the episode in a nutshell. Really, it's not.
Yeah, that was a key point.
Yeah. Overall, I mean, it was sort of.
I thought it was worse than the first one.
Worse. I don't know. I think I thought it was better just because I thought there was more development. Now I thought the fact that now Billy's on his way to that point, potentially of no return. We don't know. He might just die off after the host has left him or whatever. We also know the rats now have progressed into some monsters. But you think that's one rat? You think of all the rats exploding in the sewer?
But sure, that's probably what we've seen in the background. Remember whenever it showed you?
They're all like crawling up. Yeah. So that's in the real world, not in the upside down.
Yes.
So potentially it could be an invasion of some sort to.
I stand by. They're gonna suck all the adults' faces and make them all like Billy.
Probably, yeah.
And that's I stand by that because now I've seen her dragon. Remember I told you, after I'd watched it, I was like, I think it sort of links into my theory. I didn't say my theory to you at the time because I didn't want to ruin it, but like I have a funny feeling that he's now gonna bring an adult, and then she's gonna bring an adult, and then they're gonna bring an adult, and then maybe either Hopper's gonna get brought in by Joyce, or Joyce is gonna bring in Hopper. Other way around, or Hopper's gonna bring in Joyce. Yeah,
I think the whole lifeguard scene. I think that's gonna play out throughout the entire season for some reason. I think that exact scene is gonna play out the entire season, and there's gonna be less people.
Oh, fuck man, that'd be cool.
At the seats and stuff. Like whenever he comes out, usually the three women are sitting there. Mrs. Wheeler's not gonna be there anymore. Because she's been told to go away, so she'll not go to the pool anymore.
Oh yeah, he's like, just leave me alone.
Yeah, and I think they'll be like, oh, why aren't they showing up? So I'll just not show up anymore. Then they'll not bring their kids, and that'll just be an absolute ghost time.
That's a good point.
Ghost time.
It's a good theory.
But I do assume everyone's just gonna be like, bah! Zombies. And 11s and they have to like burst their brains or something. Burst them.
apparently, now the last episode, is the battle for Starcourt Mall or whatever it's called, the Battle of Starcourt Mall. Right. That's what the title is. Now, apparently, I don't know anything more than somebody's opinion. They preferred it to the Battle of Winterfell in Game of Thrones.
Oh dear. Well, that's good and bad, but at the same time,
it was very good.
I don't really want people to just like get slaughtered. But then again, they brought in an awful lot of new people in this one, haven't they?
It just depends how they do it, because there's a lot of kids. You know, you can go and see these sets whenever you want.
What do you mean?
You can go and just go to Hawkins High School. You can go to town.
Oh
like,
yeah,
you just go.
Yeah,
it's just sitting outside Atlanta. Like it's all. It actually has like Hawkins Middle School and stuff on it.
Yeah.
And like if you look in, you can see like all the sets and stuff. They don't care. You can just go.
That's cool.
Weird, isn't it? Seen a video earlier.
Strange, some might say.
Yeah. Stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. So
you thought this episode was the worst of the two?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the first one. I don't know. I just sort of preferred the first one. I thought there was a bit more of what was going on with the group, or as in the kids in general.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, it was sort of guys and girls, and then Elle and Mike broke up, but it just sort of shows you that Elle is very easily influenced, because she didn't really understand any of this stuff. So yeah, I don't know. It was. I mean, I thought it was fine.
I think she says, "I break up with you" or something.
Yeah, that's what she said. Yeah, I break up with you, and then
I dump you. She says.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, I dump you.
But like, I dump your ass.
I dump your ass. That's exactly it.
But like, yeah, it's one of those things. I don't know. I wasn't. Neither episode I have thought has been amazing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've enjoyed them.
Yeah, I've enjoyed them for what they are.
Yeah.
You can't. I mean, with these sort of things, you can't expect action all the time. So
yes.
You do have to have builder episodes and stuff, and obviously these are the ones that are building up to apparently the Battle of Winterfell.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
But yeah, I'll finish up with two quotes here. So, first one is Christopher Gardner, from The Pursuit of Happiness, Will Smith's accent. You got a dream, you got to protect it. People can't do something themselves. They want to tell you you can't do it. If you want something, go get it. Period. And then.
So we're just saying we're going to get a period, but
okay. And then there's the Jim Carrey commencement speech. I love the whole thing. It's amazing. Yeah. But there's a quote from that I always think is great.
Passionate, man.
The quote is, "I learned many great lessons from my father, not the least of which was that you can fail at what you don't want, so you might as well take a chance on doing what you love."
Yeah.
Which is just class.
It's true though what he says. Like,
yeah.
People just take that. I mean, some just go, well, it's safer, isn't it, to fail at the things you don't want to do, because at least you're.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Everyone likes their own. What's the word I'm looking for? Routine. Everyone likes their own routine. Everyone likes a safe job. Everyone likes, not everyone, but most people like the thought of, I know if I wake up at 7 tomorrow morning, go to work for 9, I'll be home by 6, and then I can do what I want until Friday, and then it's the weekend. They don't really care what they fill that with, because it's safe. They have money coming in, whatever else. But essentially what I'm taking from that is that if you don't enjoy your job, give a go at something else if you can get it. You know, there's another part in that speech where he talks about doors, and he says basically, take chances. Doors open all the time. Even if you do miss your cue, don't worry, another one will open.
Yeah.
Which is just, I know it's a real paraphrase, that's not what it says, it's definitely better than that.
Yeah.
But he's essentially, his whole speech is just sort of saying, look, don't settle. If you want to try and push on and go further and improve upon what you have, who you are, what you can offer, if you know you can offer more, than what I'm taking from that whole thing is just push yourself on, go put yourself out there. Yeah, you'll get a 500 no's, but you know what, so whenever you get the yes and it's something you want to do, the rest won't matter.
Exactly.
So yeah, I will leave that there, folks, and we will see you next week. Bye.